The concept of the backrooms, a seemingly infinite maze of yellowed hallways with buzzing fluorescent lights, was originally introduced as an eerie piece of creepypasta. Its atmosphere of liminality, disconnection, and unending repetition made it the stuff of nightmares for many. Yet, for some, the backrooms fails to evoke the intended fear, and this could be attributed to a variety of psychological, cultural, and even artistic reasons. Let's explore this phenomenon in detail. 1. Overexposure and memification. The backrooms concept gained widespread attention through social media, where users created parodies, memes, and comedic reinterpretations. While its original lore emphasized dread and existential terror, constant exposure to humorous or non-threatening interpretations has diluted its initial impact. The more a concept is mocked or reshaped into lighthearted content, the less threatening it becomes. For instance, the original description of the backrooms depicts an oppressive and isolating environment. But online, it has been reimagined with absurd scenarios, people finding vending machines full of snacks, portals to other memes, or encountering ridiculous creatures. These interpretations reduce the psychological weight of the backrooms as a terrifying liminal space and turn it into something more approachable and even funny. 2. Lack of immediate threat. Unlike traditional horror settings, the backrooms lacks an obvious antagonist. While some interpretations add monsters or entities to the space, the core concept focuses on the horror of the environment itself. This subtle, atmospheric dread doesn't resonate with everyone. For many, fear arises from direct threats like jump scares, dangerous entities, or impending doom. The backrooms, being more about existential dread and the fear of the unknown, might not strike a chord with those who need a tangible source of danger to feel scared. Additionally, the absence of clear goals or escape routes in the backrooms can cause some people to lose interest rather than feel fear. Without an immediate and pressing reason to survive, the experience might feel directionless, making it less engaging or frightening. 3. Psychological desensitization. Modern audiences are often desensitized to many traditional horror tropes. With the rise of hyper-realistic graphics in video games, CGI-heavy horror films, and the sheer volume of horror content available, it takes more to shock or scare people. The minimalist and abstract nature of the backrooms might seem underwhelming to those who are accustomed to more intense and visceral scares. Moreover, the backrooms' repetitive aesthetic, yellow walls, buzzing lights, and damp carpets, can feel monotonous rather than unsettling. While this monotony is meant to evoke a sense of despair, some may interpret it as dull or boring, reducing its potential for fear. 4. Personal interpretation and fear triggers. Fear is highly subjective. Some individuals are deeply unsettled by the concept of liminal spaces, areas that exist on the boundary between the familiar and the unfamiliar. For them, the backrooms might tap into primal fears of isolation, being lost, or the uncanny. However, others may not find these themes particularly frightening. If someone doesn't have a fear of isolation, monotony, or endless spaces, the backrooms might seem mundane rather than terrifying. Cultural background and personal experiences also play a role in how people perceive fear. For instance, someone who has spent time in similar office environments might find the backrooms nostalgic rather than threatening. This nostalgia can neutralize the intended horror of the setting. 5. The lack of narrative context. In many horror stories, fear is heightened by a compelling narrative. The backrooms, by design, lacks a detailed storyline. Its horror lies in the ambiguity. How did you get there? Why are you trapped? What happens if you never escape? While this open-endedness is appealing to some, others might feel disconnected due to the absence of clear stakes or character development. Without a story to anchor the fear, the backrooms can feel like an empty set. Viewers or readers might struggle to immerse themselves in the concept, making it less effective as a source of horror. 6. The comfort of familiarity. Oddly enough, the backroom setting can feel familiar rather than alien. Many people have spent time in bland office spaces, schools, or similar environments. The yellowed wallpaper and fluorescent lighting might evoke memories of mundane places rather than inspire fear. This familiarity can act as a psychological buffer, making the backrooms seem less like a nightmare and more like an oddly nostalgic dream. Some individuals even find comfort in liminal spaces. The repetitive design, lack of chaos, and absence of other people can create a sense of calm rather than terror. For them, the backrooms represent an escape from the overwhelming nature of the real world rather than a horrifying trap. 7. Over-reliance on ambiguity. The backrooms thrives on its mysterious and undefined nature, but this very quality can work against it. For some, the absence of explanations and tangible details leaves too much to the imagination, resulting in disengagement rather than fear. If the audience doesn't have enough information to understand what makes the backrooms dangerous, they might not invest emotionally in the concept. Compare this to a well-crafted horror film, where the threat is slowly revealed, building tension and suspense. The backrooms, being intentionally vague, skips this process. While ambiguity can be terrifying in some contexts, it can also feel empty if not handled carefully. 8. The impact of community creations. As the backrooms gained popularity, fans began creating their own levels, entities, and rules. This expansion of the lore added complexity but also fragmented the original concept. Some iterations of the backrooms focus on action or survival rather than horror, turning it into more of an adventure or puzzle. These variations dilute the original sense of dread and replace it with other genres, further reducing its scariness for some audiences. For instance, certain levels described by fans are lush, colorful, or even inviting, which contrasts sharply with the oppressive monotony of the original backrooms. This inconsistency in tone can make the overall concept feel less cohesive and, consequently, less frightening. 9. The role of media adaptations. The Backrooms has been adapted into various forms of media, from YouTube videos to video games. While some of these adaptations successfully capture its eerie atmosphere, others fail to translate the concept effectively. Poorly made games or low-budget videos can unintentionally make the Backrooms seem cheesy or amateurish, further reducing its scare factor. Conclusion. The Backrooms isn't universally scary because fear is a deeply personal and subjective experience. Its minimalist, ambiguous, and atmospheric approach to horror resonates strongly with some but falls flat for others due to overexposure, lack of narrative, or misaligned fear triggers. For those who appreciate subtle, existential dread, the Backrooms can be a chilling concept. But for others, it might just feel like wandering through an oddly nostalgic, slightly boring office space. What do you think? Are the Backrooms terrifying or just another internet meme?